a great MLB doubleheader for you. First, baseball's fiercest rivalry rages on as Aaron Judge powers the first-place Yankees against Mookie Betts and the Red Sox. Then Jose Altuve and the Astros take on the Cardinals. It all starts at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on FS1 and the Fox Sports app.
Yankees' last 4 or 5 games have all been crazy. Goulet is a Yankee fan. Something's happening to the Yankees. The Twin Series was nuts. The Red Sox games are crazy.
Wasn't crazy as much as a beatdown yesterday.
Yeah.
So it wasn't great for me.
Oh, yeah, they had 27 titles. Boo-hoo.
I said the day wasn't great, not the life.
Mark Schlereth is joining us. 3 Super Bowls, 2 Pro Bowls. All right, we got, here's news. Jane Slater was on our show a couple days ago, does a terrific job covering the Cowboys NFL Network. She goes, my team sources tell me Zeke not on site for the morning physical, not on site for the conditioning run. I'm also told that while the Cowboys can fine him, it doesn't necessarily mean the Cowboys will fine him. That's at each team's discretion. So let's talk about this. There's a bunch of holdouts now that are happening. Michael Thomas, Zeke. First of all, it's tough. You're a head coach. You just want all the good players. You don't deal with this nonsense. And if the Cowboys chose to not pay Zeke, how does it play in the locker room? Some guys are upset. I want to throw this at you, though. There's a bunch of guys waiting in line to get paid. Nick Wright said this morning on First Things First. He said, Zeke's cutting in line. Dak's like, well, I've never made any money, and I'm the quarterback, and I only got a year left. You were a first-round pick. You're just a running back. You got 2 years left. And Nick made a good point. Zeke's kind of cutting in line. Does that matter? Do you think some of the Cowboy guys, although they want Jalen Smith this morning, they asked him about it. He goes, I'm here. You know, it's kind of his way of saying, no comment. How do you think it plays with Zeke 2 years out?
Well, I think guys want everybody to get paid. I mean, I think they'll support guys. Certainly, you understand the short lifespan or career span of the running back. Like, you understand that. You know, you always do this work where Colin was right and Colin was wrong segment.
Right.
But I was right about this months ago, not on this show, but just in general, my radio show, my podcast. I was like, you know, Antonio Brown, say what you want about him. And I've said plenty about him because he feels like that guy that doesn't care about winning as long as he gets 10 targets. You know, that's what he feels like to me.
Right.
But his, call it temper tantrum, whatever it is, he got himself pushed out of Pittsburgh, right? And I said, mark my words, this is going to be the catalytic event that emboldens other guys to say, I want mine too. And you think about, go all the way back to the last collective bargaining agreement. That's why this one is so important coming up with the NFL and the Players Association. The Players Association screwed the rookies coming in.
Yes, they did.
They just screwed them. How would you like to not be present and have somebody negotiate for you that has not your best interest at heart? I mean, that's what they did. They said, hey, let's screw these guys and make sure that they're locked into a 5-year contract. Why would you ever play a running back? You got him into, if you draft him in the first round, you've got 4 years with the player option and with the 5th-year option. And then if you want, you could essentially franchise him for 2 more years.
So if you draft a running back high, what's the point of giving him a second contract?
You'll never get a second contract.
So the veterans voted that. The veterans wanted their money. Right.
And what happened is, it's funny. Like I always say, hey, man, when I was in college, I used to go to this bar in Alaska called Chilkoot Charlie's.
Yeah.
Their motto was, where we cheat the other guy and pass the savings on to you.
Right.
I think they thought it was going to be like Reaganomics. Like it was going to trickle down to everybody. It was going to, hey, we're bathing in cash. Make it rain, right? And really what happened is it further accentuated the haves and the have-nots. It's the 80-20 rule. 20% of the guys in the league make 80% of the money.
By the way, the NBA has this too, where Chris Paul makes sure the banana boat guys get rich, but the middle guys are getting squeezed everywhere in the NBA. So, well, you know who runs these players' associations? It's veteran players, and I don't blame them. They're like, I've been in this league 12 years. You've been in it an hour. You're paying me, not you.
Right. I think the short-sightedness of that, though, you know, everybody looks at Sam Bradford and says, well, the guy made, $78 million or $100 million or whatever it was, and he couldn't stay healthy, and
right.
All these different factors that played into that. But if I'm the 4th rounder like Dak, and I haven't made any money, and all of a sudden I can point to a guy who has made a ton of it that was no good and say, whoa, that's where we start the negotiation for contract number 2.
Yeah.
Like, that's where it's important.
Yeah, that's why Dak's not going to take a pay cut. The Dak's greatest leverage is, you can say what you want about me on passer rating. I've won the division with the Philadelphia Eagles 2 of the last 3 years. I don't get hurt, and I'm getting better. and I kept you on TV. Like, Dak's got a ton of leverage. Zeke is like kind of a pain in the butt. You are a running back. You're cutting in line.
Right.
I think
you've been suspended. You went to the principal's office just 6 weeks ago to talk about your off-field transgressions.
I think I'd be tougher. I think I'd be tough on Zeke in these negotiations.
Sure.
I think Dak I'd wrap up tomorrow. I'd wrap Dak up as soon as I could.
Like Dak, I agree with you. Dak has leverage. He has leverage.
The position.
Right. Zeke,
I don't
have
see
a
it.
whole lot of leverage there.
I don't see
it. Is he a better player? To me, is he a better player than Dak, or is he a better player than Amari Cooper? Yeah, I think so. But
better doesn't get you paid. Leverage does.
Right. And the other thing is, he may be better now, but for how long?
That's right.
Because the longevity, the long money is on Amari. The long money is on Dak. It's not on Zeke.
I remember a baseball executive tell me this years ago. This is off topic. But when he hired an announcer, he goes, I like to hire married guys. He goes, because baseball announcers are on the road 100 nights a year. I'd like you to have kids, a wife you want to connect to, single play-by-play announcer on the road in Florida. I'm like, well. And he literally said, he goes, I look for married guys because it's such a beatdown. And so my point is, when you sign a contract with employees, there's a lot of things beyond he's talented, she's talented. Does he play well with others? Is he a long-term employee?
Sure.
Dak feels like, to me, I could give Dak 15 years. If you told me Dak is playing in 14 years, I'd be like, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
If you told me Zeke's playing in 8, I'm like, that's a coin flip for me.
Right.
Long-term employee, I like Dak over Zeke.
Like, if you were doing, hey, which one's more likely to happen? Dak playing in year 8 or Dak being suspended for a year?
No, Zeke. No,
I mean,
Zeke,
not Dak. I mean, Zeke.
Yeah.
Zeke playing in year 8 or Zeke being suspended for a year? Which one would you put your money on?
I think listen, we got issues. We got a resume now.
Right.
Nobody's a victim of their reputation. We know what kind of comes along with both. All right, so my staff this morning, it'd be nice to have a staff that, helped me.
Right.
But they conspire against me.
Sure.
It's very difficult. Joy is my only friend on the set. Anyway, so this morning the staff comes in and they're like, oh, look at Baker's one of the MVP frontrunners. In your face, old radio jerk. And I was like, yeah, of course he's going to get MVP vote. It's voted on by writers, and they like angles and stories. Westbrook's not more valuable than LeBron, but KD dumped him, so it was a better story. Like, I do think Baker, I think he's going to be an MVP candidate as long as they can win games.
Sure.
I think that it's a two-time walk-on. Cleveland's the Charlie Brown football franchise in the league. Freddie Kitchens is a rookie. I think he's got it. I think he's almost like as long as they're at 9-7. I mean, what do you make of this year for him? Is there a grease fire potential here?
Oh, I don't think there's any question that. I mean, it's so much easier to go under the radar than to have expectations. And there are huge expectations, but not only expectations, because from a talent standpoint, Colin, this is one of the most talented teams. You look on the roster, this roster is incredibly talented.
Oh, their offensive skill people are the best running back, receiver group in the league, second best young tight end.
I'm telling you what, they have a ton of talent on this roster. And I said this yesterday on Speak for Yourself, let me just tell you that character drives talent towards greatness. That equation never gets flipped. Talent doesn't drive character. You don't have great talent and go, all of a sudden, this talent is going to drive my character. You better have great character that drives talent. And the issue is you got a lot of guys here that I'm not so sure the split between, being a brand and being a great football player. Like, what's more important to you? Like, are you willing to make the sacrifices so that your teammate can shine? Or if your teammate shines, do you man, I want some of that shine, I'll be a problem. I think Baker's a huge MVP candidate simply because if you can manage this roster with a rookie coach and you can divvy up the ball to the guys you have, what a job that would be.
Yeah.
If you can do that job, that is going to be hard. And there are expectations in Cleveland for the first time. Well, 1989 was the last time they won the division, and at that time it was called the NFC Central, right? Since that time, the Houston Oilers have won that division since Cleveland won it last. The Tennessee Titans, they play in the South. Oh, the Jacksonville Jaguars have won it. They play in the South.
So 7 teams have won the division, not named Cleveland, since 1990.
Yes.
God.
Yeah, they have never won the North. They were the Central the last time they won it.
Wow.
So, I mean, there are, to me, some unrealistic expectations, but I understand that the talent they have on that roster on both sides of the ball is exceptional.
Mike Tomlin got an extension. I said he's always been Pete Carroll to me. Great teacher, huge energy, creates a culture, little loose for my taste. There's always an extra penalty. There's an extra story I don't want to hear. It kind of blows up on them once in a while, but they're Hall of Fame coaches. Would you give them an extension?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was wise. I think one thing about Pittsburgh in my lifetime and inner circles, you talk to guys in the league. You know, that organization is run. They empower their head coach.
Yeah.
In my lifetime, there's been Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, and Mike Tomlin.
That's it. And mine too. In my whole life. Three coaches.
3 coaches. I live in Denver. In the last 6 years, they've had John Fox, they've had Gary Kubiak, they've had Vance Joseph, and now Vic Fangio.
And they had Josh McDaniel before that.
Right. So, and they won a championship. And they won a championship. So, you know, my take on this is Pittsburgh paid Antonio Brown. They paid some guys. Those guys were allowed to be a little loose by the head coach, and it ended up backfiring on this organization. And this way is a way of Pittsburgh coming in there and making a commitment to their head coach and saying, hey, man, we are just empowering you. You've been emasculated. Some of it you've done on your own. Now we've empowered you. You are in charge. Take the reins back of this organization. Be the staunch disciplinarian we hired in the first place. Don't let this thing get out of control, and be in charge. And so I think this is their way of saying, there's one guy in charge here, guys, and we've empowered our head coach again, and he's not going to screw this up. It's on him now. Yeah. And I think the other thing that's interesting about this is he and Ben Roethlisberger, these contracts run concurrently now.
They do.
And so they're married. Like, they're tied at the hip. Right. And Ben has been a guy that's had some criticism as well, calling guys out on his radio show. Yeah. He canceled his radio show.
Now, he's had some leadership problems.
So you guys are in this thing together, and it behooves us now to be on the same page, because this is our kind of legacy together going down this. So I think it was a brilliant move by the Rooney family, who have done nothing but created consistent football and a great culture within their organization. They're saying, take back this culture and make sure you fix this thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's interesting how that works. I in my lifetime, I don't ever remember saying what I'm about to say. The Steelers are the great sleeper in the NFL this year. Everybody has sold stock. I'm like, best O-line maybe, Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame quarterback, great owner, great GM, good pass rush.
I feel like they win this division going away, Colin.
It's in my whole life, I've never said, hey, the team that everybody's sleeping on is a lot of times we overhype Dallas. We never overhype Pittsburgh. I don't know.
Like, when have you ever heard anybody say, this is a real dark horse team?
In my life, not once.
Like to me, they're in a perfect position.
Best O-line in the division, best quarterback, probably best coach, best owner, best GM in the division. I'll take them. Mark Schlereth, by the way, Schlereth and Evans, weekdays 8 to 11 Eastern. They do a show in the mountains, so I'm not sure how that time zone works out.
6 to 9 Mountain Time.
So 8 to 11 Eastern. Why don't you just share the Pacific Coast time zone? It'd make things so much easier.
It's 5 to 8 Pacific.
I don't even see. I'm lost. I have no idea when you're on.
I don't either. I don't know when. They call me and I come on.
All right. Joy with the news.
No.